In this podcast episode, Jessie Inchauspé discusses common myths about pregnancy nutrition, the critical impact of a mother's diet on her baby's long-term health, and the often overlooked science behind how specific nutrients shape a child's future. Jessie shares her personal journey through pregnancy, including miscarriage, the science of glucose and sugar, and practical advice for balancing cravings and fatigue. The conversation also touches on the father's role, emotional challenges during pregnancy, and strategies to improve glucose control for healthier outcomes. Jessie challenges the widespread myth that pregnant women can eat whatever they want without consequence. She dismantles ideas such as eating for two and the perception that a mother is simply a passive environment, an oven, for the baby. Instead, she offers a powerful metaphor of the mother as fertile soil, actively co-creating the baby's development. What a mother consumes influences aspects like metabolism, brain development, and disease sensitivity through mechanisms such as epigenetics, which act like dimmer switches on genes shaped by the prenatal environment. Jessie emphasizes four main nutrients that have an outsized effect during pregnancy: glucose, choline, protein, and omega-3 fatty acids. Glucose levels influence the baby's lifelong vulnerability to type 2 diabetes. Choline, primarily found in eggs, is critical for brain development. Its deficiency can cause fewer neurons. Adequate protein intake ensures healthy muscle mass and overall body development. And omega-3s contribute to brain formation and have been linked to higher IQs in children. She underscores that most mothers today are deficient in choline, protein, and omega-3s, while consuming excessive sugar, often triple the recommended amount, due in large part to modern food environments. Excessive sugar intake during pregnancy raises maternal and fetal blood glucose levels, leading to inflammation and programming the baby's genes for increased fat storage and diabetes risk. Jessie describes how gestational diabetes dramatically increases the chance that children will develop diabetes by adulthood. Elevated glucose causes overactive immune cells in the baby's brain, microglia, to prune healthy neurons unnecessarily, a process possibly linked to a higher risk of autism and psychiatric disorders. Nutrient deficiencies, especially in choline, can cause neurological development issues and increase miscarriage risk, yet these are rarely discussed in prenatal care. Animal studies demonstrate that insufficient protein during pregnancy leads to offspring programmed to have less muscle mass, an adaptive response to maternal diet signaling a low-protein environment. Jessie shares how the recommended protein intake for pregnant women has recently increased by 50% to around 1,516 grams per kilogram of body weight daily, yet the majority of pregnant women don't meet this target. The idea that prenatal diet informs the baby on the expected external world highlights the importance of nutrients as informational signals beyond simple nourishment. Jessie details how nearly all of the neurons we have today were formed before birth and depend on sufficient intake of choline and omega-3s. Lack of these nutrients can result in fewer neurons and impaired brain function. She illustrates this with animal experiments linking low prenatal omega-3s to poorer performance in mazes, an indicator of cognitive ability. She notes that while whole foods are best for absorption, supplements may be necessary, especially for vegans, as choline and omega-3s are found primarily in animal products or algae-based supplements. Pregnancy often intensifies cravings for sugary and salty foods due to changes in dopamine response and nutrient deficiencies, such as a craving for red meat linked to iron deficiency. Jessie shares her personal struggle with nausea, explaining that during early pregnancy, women should focus on protein first and eat small, frequent snacks to manage symptoms. While there's no simple cure for morning sickness, balancing blood sugar and including protein helps. She advises limiting sugar intake to under 25 grams daily to prevent detrimental glucose spikes affecting both mother and baby. Jessie highlights evidence from animal studies where pregnant mothers' exercise led to offspring with decreased anxiety and improved cognitive function. She recommends gentle activities such as walking or calf raises during pregnancy to help regulate blood sugar, reduce fatigue, and improve mental health. While intense exercise may not be feasible for everyone, even minor movement can have meaningful benefits. Jessie courageously shares her experience with silent miscarriage, an absence of symptoms until an ultrasound revealed fetal demise. She describes the deep grief and isolation felt, compounded by the stigma and lack of open conversation surrounding miscarriage. The psychological burden of trying to conceive again while managing fear and anxiety is candidly discussed. Jessie advocates for more compassionate social understanding and open dialogue on pregnancy loss, emphasizing that grief needs acknowledgement rather than minimization. Though maternal diet is pivotal during pregnancy, Jessie notes that the father's health before conception impacts sperm quality and thus influences early pregnancy outcomes. Her husband improved his diet and lifestyle prior to conception, highlighting the importance of shared responsibility. Still, Jessie clarifies that the mother's nutrition remains the key driver in fetal development. Jessie explains how glucose, derived from carbohydrates, is the body's preferred energy source but causes harmful spikes when consumed excessively. These spikes contribute to inflammation, fat accumulation, and metabolic problems. Since maternal and fetal bloodstreams are connected, the baby also experiences these fluctuations, shaping their metabolism and health risks. She recounts historical data from the UK sugar ration during wartime, showing that babies gestated on lower sugar intake had significantly reduced rates of diabetes later in life, underscoring the lifelong impact of prenatal nutrition. Specific guidance includes eating 4 eggs daily to meet choline demands, ensuring protein at every meal, supplementing omega-3s especially if vegan, and vigilantly limiting sugar intake. Jessie recommends consuming carbohydrates along with fiber-rich vegetables to moderate glucose absorption and suggests a vinegar and water drink before meals to reduce sugar spikes. These hacks help manage the intense cravings, nausea, and fatigue characteristic of pregnancy. Jessie acknowledges the immense pressure on pregnant women to get it right, which can be overwhelming given conflicting information and societal expectations. She stresses that the food system and healthcare environment have failed mothers, making it unfair to place blame on them. Instead, she encourages focusing on simple, evidence-based actions that have the most significant impact and urges society to better support pregnant women through education and improved medical advice. Hormonal changes in pregnancy contribute to bloating, often aggravated by rapid increases in fiber or sugar intake and possible food sensitivities. Jessie recommends gradual dietary changes and sugar reduction as primary strategies to alleviate discomfort. Throughout the conversation, Jessie balances the discussion of vulnerabilities programmed in utero with human resilience. While suboptimal prenatal nutrition increases risks for mental health issues, metabolic disease, and cognitive outcomes, many children born into less than ideal conditions fare well. Nevertheless, understanding these influences offers a chance to optimize health trajectories starting from pregnancy. Jessie notes that many studies rely on animal models or observational data because controlled interventions in pregnant women pose ethical challenges. Despite this, strong associations between maternal nutrition and offspring outcomes reinforce the importance of providing accurate information to mothers whenever possible. The episode outlines differences across trimesters. The first trimester involves organ formation and uses uterine milk for the embryo's nutrients. The placenta fully connects maternal and fetal bloodstreams in the second trimester, establishing a continuous exchange. And the third trimester is critical for brain development and growth, demanding heightened nutritional care, particularly for glucose stability. Jessie closes by reflecting on the complexity of pregnancy, embracing imperfection, and the significance of small, manageable changes rather than unattainable perfection. Her personal story, combined with scientific insights, offers hope and practical guidance for expectant mothers navigating an often confusing and stressful journey.